3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm the maestro, Jeremy Karp, and it is a pleasure to have you tuning in tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in live and for listening on Blog Talk Radio. Now, we've had some interesting things go on. It's going to be kind of unconventional because I have a special guest host with me tonight. He's the man behind the board. He works his tail off every single week, and it always goes appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one, the only, Big Hoss. How you doing, Hoss? Hoss, how you doing, buddy? How's everybody? Ooh, Owen, how you doing, buddy? It's good hearing you.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Wrestle Talk podcast. Tonight, we have a heck of a show lined up for you. There's some type of technical difficulties going on here.
Apparently, John and I are on two different spots right now.
Brought to you tonight by our sponsors, Royal Mills Transportation, I-70 Sports Media, Esports Kansas City. Sorry about this. Big Hoss coming at you. I'm normally behind the board here. And something happened tonight where Night Owl and Nightmare Jones both are out on assignment. They are meeting up with some new potential guests coming up. And the maestro is supposed to be here, but for some reason we can't hear him.
Yeah, for some reason, you know what? I think it's
Maestro, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Well, folks, I'm going to have to take care of this. You know what? I know exactly who to blame. Wow. This is funny. Hope everyone's doing good tonight, by the way. I am so sorry for the technical difficulties. Someone's not getting paid, and someone's in trouble.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Let's see if we can get these problems sorted out. Don't forget you can join us on WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Feel free to give us a call, 657-383-1521, and be here live on the air with us.
Hoss, can you hear me?
Let's see. I've got you.
There we go. All right. You know what? I figured it out. I was talking to some of my team members. You want to know what caused it?
What's going on, Maestro?
You're not going to believe this. Okay, so folks, apparently Drake Lee, see, he's been having a lot of lawsuits and merchandising issues going on. And he, for some reason, wants to take it out on me because, you know, why is it my fault? But lo and behold, him. And he's been messing with the technical aspects of all this because he knows that Hoss is co-hosting with me, so he's too focused on this to do that. I can't believe it. Well, you know what?
You know what the Iron Sheik has to say about that?
What?
Let's see. Sheik, what do you have to say about that?
You gotta let a man live. You gotta let him live. Well, you know what, Hoss? We're a few minutes in. I think it's time that everybody please rise, remove your caps, as we all pay our respects.
Actually, Maestro, hate to cut you off there, but we went ahead and got that taken care of while we were waiting on you to sort out your technical issues.
What? Oh, now I'm really gonna kick Drake's ass. I can't believe they seriously did the national anthem without me. Oh, now I'm hurt. I am so hurt. Okay, well, what else did you do while I was gone? Balance my financial portfolio?
No, we haven't gone over that yet. I do have a copy of that here, though.
Oh, man.
Trying to forward it to me.
I mean, it's not exactly that much to find in there, but you know what? We'll take what we can get, right?
So, why don't we go ahead and get into our high spot segment here? And we actually have a new intro for our high spot segment tonight.
That we do.
This intro was made specifically for the Wrestle Talk podcast by one of our guests tonight, Titan, otherwise known as DJ Money. So this is exclusively for the Wrestle Talk podcast. We have exclusive permission to use this, so we shouldn't have any issues like we do with some of the stuff that we've used. But let's go ahead and take a listen to this new high spot segment here. Mic check, mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to the high spot. Broken pop, boots like fair shop, and dog shop. Through the screen of a laptop, and non-stop like I want to stick with the black top. We hit hard like 10 shots and back drop. Fuck fast, so I can barely fuck our ass on. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk podcast. Now they know we just not to start the show.
I'm loving it. That was beautiful.
What do you think about that new track?
Holy mackerel, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, Haas. I mean, that was some badass stuff right there. I mean, it was about time that we had some new music, don't you think?
Oh, I agree, and you know that just I really like that, and I really appreciate DJ Money coming up with that for us. So
Much appreciated.
So Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and get us started off here in our hot spot?
Alrighty, with pleasure. So, as you all know, last year they were supposed to have WrestleMania in Tampa Bay at Raymond James Stadium. But because of the coronavirus and the pandemic and everything, that got changed. So now, last year it was moved to the Performance Center. Well, now they're going to have WrestleMania at Raymond James Stadium. Next year, it's going to be at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, or in the Arlington area. And after that, WrestleMania 39. I can't believe. Man, I've been watching WrestleMania since WrestleMania 21, and now we're already on WrestleMania freaking 39. Anyway, WrestleMania 39. It is. But WrestleMania 39, Hoss, can you believe it? It's going to be at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles or in Inglewood, California. It's always like the outskirts of these major cities. It's in Arlington, not in Dallas. It's in Inglewood, not in Los Angeles. But it's close enough. It's the major cities, right?
Hey, as long as we get to see wrestling.
Exactly. I agree. And I'm not going to lie, for the longest time, I mean, I wondered what they were going to do with all that. So, what are your thoughts on them announcing the next 3 WrestleManias in advance?
Well, it's good to know that they are looking forward to the future and just trying to make sure that things are solidified. But hopefully things work out the way they want them to. With everything going the way it has been, who knows when things can actually get back to normal.
Yeah, that is true. And honestly, they're working on having limited fans. Hopefully, 3 years from now, or I guess 2 years from now, we're gonna really uh have fans in the stadium. But it's just, yeah, it's amazing. It's not, and these are big stadiums, but at the same time, I was having a talk with my friend Evan yesterday, and I really gotta give him props on this one because it's something I agree with as well. I think having it in all these big stadiums is such a big middle finger to all the small arenas that even though they can't house 80,000 people, they still put on amazing WrestleManias. So, like, okay, the first notable WrestleMania I watched was WrestleMania 22. That was when Triple H faced John Cena. That was when Shawn Michaels faced Vince McMahon. You had the Triple Threat World Heavyweight title match. That was one of my favorite, it still is one of my favorite WrestleManias. Like Ric Flair being suplexed off the freaking ladder in the Money in the Bank match. Those were some of my favorite. That was one of my favorite WrestleManias. Still to this day. To me, it's not the size of the crowd that matters. It's the product of the wrestling. And some of the and it's just because it's a big arena doesn't mean it's going to be an amazing WrestleMania. And we've seen that in some of these past few ones. So, Hoss, what you think on this?
I agree with you. It's all about the product they put out, not how many people they can put in the stands. You can pack 80, 90,000 people in the stands for just about anything, but if the product isn't there, it's just not going to be that great of a show, and people are going to leave disgruntled and thinking, well, I got gypped out of my money for that one.
Exactly.
So
I agree totally. And
I agree with.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, and it with some of these WrestleManias coming up. I mean, I can't predict to you what's going to happen next WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 38, 39. But I do have a prediction I want your take on for WrestleMania 40. Oh my god, WrestleMania 40. Oh. I'm going to be 26 in a few months, but just hearing WrestleMania 40 makes me sound old. It makes me feel old. Um but I want your take on this. I think they're going to have WrestleMania 40, and I want the Wrestle Talk podcast family to tune in on this too and give us your take. It's going to be in Las Vegas. They just built a new stadium out there for the Las Vegas Raiders, and much like SoFi Stadium, it is massive. It is an indoor stadium. I think they can pull this off. I think they'll have it in Vegas at WrestleMania 40. I'd love to have it in St. Louis or at Arrowhead in Kansas City, but for some reason, they basically just said, screw us. Nevertheless, I want your take on this, Hoss. You think WrestleMania 40 will be in Vegas?
Yeah, there's a very good possibility. I think it could be. I mean, with that new stadium out there, and I'm kind of partial to that stadium because I am a Raiders fan. But with that new stadium out there, it looks like a really nice stadium, and I think a lot of people are going to want to hold stuff there just because it's new. You know, not necessarily because of the location or just because it's new.
Right.
You know how people are with new stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
I think.
no, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say I think that's gonna be a draw to it is the fact that you know it's so new and they can say, oh, we did this here for the first time, and yeah, so I could very well see that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more quick note on this before we move on to our next topic. We're talking about WrestleManias and kind of just the atmosphere they had. I mean, first off, this year's WrestleMania is also going to be 2 nights, much like last year's. Last year, we talk about the size crowd and the product of the wrestling. I actually thought WrestleMania was going to be bad last year. I didn't expect much. I really didn't think, much of it. And yeah, part of it was because it was the Performance Center. It just looked like it was if you and I were to wrestle like just in a basement. There's nobody there. But the thing of it is, they pulled off an amazing WrestleMania. There were two just outstanding cinematic matches that capped off both nights. And personally, yeah, I was not disappointed. So I don't know what they're going to do with this WrestleMania. I just know that, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited for this year's WrestleMania. So, yeah. Um
It looks like they got a couple pretty good matches on the card that should be decent, but then again, you never know.
except for Goldberg.
Well, yeah, that's true. And you know, you talk about the talent and stuff, like Goldberg and stuff like that. One question I have is, what do you think of the talent that is on the roster today? Do you think there's sufficient talent there, or do you think they need to bring up new talent?
I think they need to keep the talent where I think the rosters that they have should be with where they're at. And like I said, those in the uh, listening audience, feel free to comment and chime in. I'm right here listening, replying to every single comment. So about the roster, this is the thing. There's been a trend, and Drake and I have talked about this in the past, with whenever they call up in mass groups these wrestlers, what happens is whether it's a Vince McMahon issue, and I freaking love Vince, but if it's a Vince McMahon issue, a creative issue, or whatnot, they botch up so much. I remember when the Revival was called up and Lars Sullivan was called up, Lacey Evans and EC3, freaking Sanity, and Nikki Cross is the only one of Sanity that's ever had any type of success, and she's only held, I think, one title. If her and Alexa Bliss held the women's tag team titles, and that was it. So yeah, it's just yeah. I think the rosters need to stay what they're at, because if you don't know what to do with the wrestlers and male and female that you already have on the main roster, what makes you think you're going to be able to do something with when NXT comes up, when you have a new free agent signing? I mean, that's how I look at it. What do you think?
Yeah, one of the things that kind of brought that to my mind about the talent and everything was, they were just recently talking about bringing up Damian Priest, and they actually had him there. I believe it was like a week or so ago on Friday night. They actually had him there with the intentions of bringing him up, and he was supposed to come in and be like best friends with KO, and KO actually started asking, "Wait a minute, this makes no sense. How is he my best friend? What do we have in common?" And then after KO got questioned, the next thing you know, Roman Reigns stepped in and said, ain't doing it. And he got nixed, and, he's staying down in NXT. And, part of me, how many people do they really have that can stand up to the top dogs like Roman Reigns? I kind of see where they could use a little more top talent. But it is what it is. I don't know that there's a lot of people that are ready to come up that could be that top talent, though.
Yeah, I agree. So this is, as we move on to our next topic, I got to admit, this is something that just came out today. This involves AEW. For those that haven't tuned in lately, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson from Impact Wrestling have teamed with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega on Dynamite, and it's been this big for weeks, this big cross promotional Bullet Club, if you will, reunion type thing. And I bring this up because as of today, AEW is filing, or at least attempting, to trademark Too Sweet. Both the wording and, of course, the gesture for Too Sweet. And Haas, I'll tell you, I mean, that's going to be something that's going to piss WWE off quite a bit, because for the longest time, especially with AJ Styles being in WWE, that was something that they loved having. If WWE doesn't have something, they're mad because they don't have it. You know, it's like a kid, you know, like a kid at a toy store. You see this kid having this toy, it's like, but I want that. And then you have a fit to get that toy. So, I mean, you think the trademark's gonna go through?
Yeah, I don't know, because like I say, it started back some time ago, and it's not something that's new. So I don't see why they should hold the trademark on it. But that's just my opinion. But I tell you what, let's get another guy in here real quick uh, who might be able to give us his take on this. Let's go ahead and bring in one of our sponsors,
Ooh.
Royal Mills Transportation, and also the head admin for the FWWC. Let's
Uh-oh.
bring in Mr. Dewan Mills and see what he has to say.
Hey, Dewan, how you doing?
Oh, you guys are too kind, too kind. It's been a while since I've been on the Wrestle Talk podcast. WTP, baby. What's going down? How you gentlemen doing tonight?
It's a pleasure having you on, man. We've missed you. Life treating you well?
Man, life has been, you know what? If you would have asked me that question maybe a couple years ago, I would have said, life is spectacular and amazing. And I mean, it still is, but considering everything that's going around us, man, you got to make the best of it. So I have been doing well, loving the show, loving what you guys are doing. Wrestle Talk has been going strong for such a long time. And it's good to see some new faces, man. JP, you're doing a killer job, man. So are you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
We got some big shoes to fill here. There's between the Night Owl and Nightmare Jones. They leave us some big shoes to fill.
Mainly because with my small feet, any shoes are big shoes.
Hell yeah. So I know you guys were chiming in about the Too Sweet gesture and the trademark and everything. I mean, I'll be real. I've been a fan of wrestling for a better part of 20 years. All the way back from the old school WWF days, Shotgun Saturday Night. That shows my age.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. That Too Sweet gesture, dude, has been circulated through wrestling for years upon years. I seriously doubt that AEW has even the smallest or slightest of a chance locking that down because it's everywhere. I mean, and on top of that, you're going to be trying to file lawsuits every 10 seconds. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Who wants all that trouble?
Exactly. I agree. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
That's my thing. Rock on. But yeah, Bud, he had mentioned that I know I rarely come onto the show and give you guys a holler because I'm so busy. But yes, I am Dewan Mills, the head admin of the World's Premier Fantasy Wrestling Group, the FWWC, that's Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter. Are you kind of familiar with that? I know JP knows a lot about it, but hey, man, have you heard about us? And
let me tell you this: the Night Owl will not let me sleep until he brags about it.
Dude, I'll tell you something, man. Just to be real quick to give you guys an update on what's going on this month. It'll be, I want to say, 11 years this year, man. 11 years.
That's wonderful.
Honestly, it's been so long. When we first started it, I had no idea it was going to be something like this. It was just an idea. A lot of us guys that started it were football fans. We thought we could transfer that, energy to wrestling. And here we are, man. 500 plus members deep, events galore. And speaking of events, dude, as you may know, usually the Wrestle Talk podcast hosts a pay-per-view party 4 times a year for Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, where we all get together, hang out at different venues, such as Esports Bar Kansas City by my man B. Will. And we just get together. Everybody comes from out of town. We hang back. Just kind of disconnect from our normal lives and not only enjoy the Wrestle Talk podcast, we enjoy the pay-per-views and we enjoy the FWWC. But I'm pretty sure you boys have been watching the news, and unfortunately, events have been kind of frowned upon. I mean, what has it been on you guys out of town? I know you out of St. Louis, man. What's it been like over there with this whole pandemic going on?
Well, let me tell you, it's been rough. I work at a nursing home, so we've been on lockdown for a long time. So my mom and I definitely, deal with that. We're in the urban area as far as like the metropolitan St. Louis area, so there's a lot of lockdowns going on, a lot of curfews. They've closed restaurants a lot sooner. Some only do, deliveries and stuff like that. So we're feeling it pretty rough out here, but you know what? Vaccines are coming out. We're just fighting each day, living the best.
So we came up with this idea because it seems like the one thing that we all have in common is we're all going to be home.
Right.
Everybody's going to be home. Right, exactly. So we have this idea. Um, we're going to have, for the first time ever, a Skype party sponsored by the Wrestle podcast in the SWWC. That's right. It's going to be a Royal Rumble Skype party.
Oh man.
Sometimes we do Zoom, sometimes we use Skype. Myself and the Night Owl thought we would utilize Skype this time. It's a little bit easier. It's free, number one. Free is a big deal with everything we have going on. So that is going to be January 31st from 5 p.m. Central Time to 9 p.m. Central Time. We're going to have giveaways, prizes. We're going to have 4 guests that have been confirmed, starting with our sponsor at Sports Bar Kansas City, B. Will. He's going to join us for the first hour. The second hour, we're going to have the Iceman. Have you ever heard of the Iceman? Ice Baby?
I have. I have definitely heard of the Iceman.
Yes, sir. He is going to be joining us also. Another guy that will be joining us is Derek Smith, the owner of King K. Hey, man, if you ever come to Kansas City, once all the dust settles, make your way to Oak Park Mall. And there's a venue on the top floor by the name of Kincaid. Dude, when I tell you this place reminds me of the old school arcade, Aladdin Castle, Mortal Kombat stand-up arcade games, this place is legit. It is awesome. I'm 35 years old, and Lord knows I can take all of my mother's quarters and go to the local arcade. But Derek Smith has this place locked down, and it's going to be awesome. He is the owner of Kincaid. He'll be joining us. And also, last but not least, the suplex, I can't say the name, the king of suplex, the suplexorcist, the man himself, Kurt Gann, will be joining us also on that Skype. And we're still working out the details. We will have that link out before the date, or should I say the day of the event. But mark your calendar, January 31st, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time, the Wrestle podcast in SWWC Royal Rumble Skype Party. It is completely free, doesn't cost a thing to get in, right from the comfort of your living room or couch or basement or wherever you guys are going to be watching. So, what do you think about that, guy? I'm pretty sure you guys are excited.
Well, you're having all these guests and all these sponsors. It's very tempting. Maybe, just maybe, the Maestro should make an appearance. I don't know.
Hey, come on in, man. Come on in. Everybody is invited. And I mean,
Who might have turned down a party invite?
Hey, I'm saying though, we're going to be promoted through the Facebook pages, through the event pages, man, and everybody is invited. Like I said, it's a little bit different for us to do it like this, but I mean, like I said, wow, like the great Kansas City Chiefs crew this past Sunday, champions adjust, ladies and gentlemen, and we are champions of the world of fantasy wrestling, and we will adjust the time. So mark your calendars. I'm not going to take all you guys' time, but it's going to be a lit party.
Hey, man, it has been an absolute pleasure. Hoss, got anything to add?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
No, I think that's it, fellas.
All right. Dwan, pleasure having you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Hell yeah.
All right. Well, Jeremy, we actually have our next guest on hold.
Ooh.
The man who gave us that high spot song, he is on hold. So you want to go ahead and introduce him for us?
Oh, of course. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure. He's been featured in wrestling promotions such as Renegade Championship Wrestling and Evolution Championship Wrestling. Many professional wrestling fans have seen this man through the Generation Iron with former enemy to tag team partner Brent Banner. It is my pleasure. He is also a musician who has brought to us the amazing High Spots intro music you had heard earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast, Titan. Titan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I was over here kind of vibing to that.
I know. Look, I gotta thank you, and I know, I hate speaking on behalf of others, so I'm gonna let Haas say his too. But I personally want to thank you for the awesome new show intro for the High Spots. I mean, yeah, Haas, you go ahead and say yours.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually was thanking him when I had him in the screening room there talking to him, and I told him I thought that was an absolutely awesome intro. I'm so happy that we have that now.
It's badass, man. Absolutely. So I gotta ask you, we'll just kick it right off with it. Speaking about the track, tell us about how you created it. How'd you go about creating that one?
Well, essentially a producer buddy of mine that made the beat, and Luke hit me up and said that you guys might be interested in having an intro, and so I kind of thought about it. I got a hold of the producer that made the beat, and kind of stepped back and listened to it. Wrote like a little freestyle to go along with the whole culture of the show, man. The Ric Flair chops, backdrops, chair shots, just kind of give y'all a little intro to let people know what you're all about.
Right on, right on. Now, for those that don't know, Titan is a return guest to the Wrestle Talk podcast. So, for those that may not know about you, may not have tuned in for a while, can you give us some background information on yourself? How you got into professional wrestling?
Oh man, like the guest that was on here before me, he was talking about the Saturday Night Main Events and all of that. I used to watch all that stuff with my grandfather when I was growing up, and I had a buddy of mine who lost his battle with PTSD, and I wanted to honor him, so I figured I'd do a one-off wrestling match. I trained. I had Luke Gallows kick my ass for 25 minutes. We raised, oh man, it was like $5,000, I think.
Wow.
But the bug hit me, and there we went.
That is awesome. I mean, Haas, you got any others? Got some? I'm gonna take it over to my buddy Haas. He does so much behind the boards that we don't give him enough chance to get in front of the microphone. So I want him to take over for a bit. Go for it, buddy.
Well, tonight the interview isn't just about professional wrestling. I mean, this man is also DJ Money. I mean, we've already heard a little bit of the music that he's got produced here, and he's got a new album out. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your new album? Okay. Well, this is my third album. I've done some mixtapes, with the DJ work, but this is my third album where I am rapping and doing the lyrics and things of that nature. I was silent for a little over 11 years. I didn't put anything out, no mix tracks, no songs, no anything. And, I lost my grandmother last year and lost my grandfather a few years ago, and just the depression of it and things I was going through at the time, I figured, I needed to say something on the mic. And so I did the song Bottom of the Bottle. It's supposed to be a one-off. It was supposed to be just like, okay, here's the song, here's the video, and I'm out. And it just turned out that I had more in me, and the executive producer of the album. So, man, he kept pushing me, telling me, man, you need to let it all out. You're going to kill yourself with stress if you don't let it all out. So I just continued to write and get everything I had to get off my chest. And so, I mean, it's definitely an album about battling your demons and addictions and overcoming it.
And speaking of the title track, Bottom of the Bottle, we actually have a few tracks here loaded up to the board that we're going to go through tonight, and that happens to be one of them. So let's take a quick listen here to Bottom of the Bottle, a little snippet of it here.
I've been to the bottom of the bottle. From my soul, from my dream of living road. Heading to the soul, that's why my heart be hollow. No one getting covered after getting deep found. I've been to the bottom of the bottle. From my soul, from my dream of living road. Heading to the soul, that's why my heart be hollow. No one getting covered after getting deep found. Every minute of you, I think the world through. I check my rear view. Driving as a bitch, you mentally profile now, never been to play with life, only guns, pop the pills, my soul is numb. All these thoughts inside my head, wishing that the end would come. Pocket straight, dead bars, barely miss the underdog. Know you work less than none, so no one will miss me. Hennessy, pain pills, pain kills, pain heals. I ran to the bottom of the pot. From my soul, from my dream of living road. Heading to the soul, that's why my heart be hollow. No one getting covered after getting deep out. I've been to the bottom of the pot. From my soul, from my dream of living road. Heading to the soul, that's why my heart be hollow. No one getting covered after getting deep out. Choking up so much, you would think you got glaucoma. Popping up the bottle, drink myself to a coma. Went from certified to suicide, horrified to clarified, horrified to countrified. All time genocide, so my soul ripped to promise. Now I know it was a promise. Gave up in a major way. Not much left to say. I gave my soul away, my soul today. Late at night, I pray that if I know the way, I'm forgiven in heaven's name, and I hope to hide my shame. I've been to the bottom of the pot. So my soul, for my dream of living road. Heading to the soul, that's why my heart be hollow. No getting covered after getting deep out. I've been to the bottom of the pot. So my soul, for my dream of living road. Heading to the soul, that's why my heart be hollow. No getting covered after.
Hey, that track sounds pretty good. I said a little snippet of it, but I just got into it and figured, well, let it play.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I do.
Yeah.
Let me kick it back to Jeremy here for a little bit.
Yeah, that was. I'm kind of just still vibing about that. Like, whew, that was awesome. It was interesting when he talked about like struggling with addictions and overcoming obstacles and everything, and it kind of made me think about last week's interview with Sledge, just how much that resonated with me. But Titan, I have to ask, take us through the last time. Let's. I'm trying to think of how to word this properly. I remember when you competed at the Spectrum Slam in a victorious effort with Brent Banner and Glacier against Dynamo Pro Wrestling's tag team champions, the Arch City Mercenaries, and the Wind of Destruction Makazi. So I completely had forgotten I saw that, so I wanted to kind of bring that up, and I wanted to ask you, after that match, which I really loved, I'm a fan of Glacier as well, just kind of take me through your feelings after that one.
Well, I mean, that's the second time that I've tagged, or no, I'm sorry, that we tagged, Generation Iron tagged with Glacier. He is just an absolute pleasure to be around, pleasure to work with. I'm just so thankful every time that I get a chance to work with him, and and very thankful to be calling him, a friend of mine. But I mean, after that, we didn't think we were going to come out on top because, I mean, like you said, you got the tag team champs and McCarthy, and I mean, the reputation that they hold up there. We didn't think we were going to be able to come out on top, but we did, and we went to Buffalo Wild Wings afterwards and threw back some beer and celebrated. And I'm going to tell you, it was pretty cool to have Glacier buy me a pitcher of beer. That's a childhood dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, if any wrestler would buy me a beer or any drink, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that would be definitely something I'd remember for the rest of my life. And usually with alcohol, you don't really remember stuff. um,
Right.
so I gotta say, since the last time we spoke, you've taken more of a role within fighting for autism as opposed to fighting in the ring. So, can you explain that role with the listeners, the Wrestle Talk family?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on here a few times before, and I have three boys, two of which the two youngest ones are both considered nonverbal and on the spectrum, and it's a charitable organization I hold near and dear to my heart. And when I went in right before, it was actually right before the Spectrum Slam that Devin James or A's put together, whichever one you want to call them. Right before that, I got promoted to vice president of U.S. operations, and I basically just kind of help out with events if I need to. And of course, right now with the pandemic and everything, there's nothing we are doing except for donations. If anybody wants to make them, they can always make them to Bryan Higginbotham. You can reach him by getting the Facebook page or adding him as a friend on Facebook. But we always reach out. We try to do things for kids on Christmas and do little special things for their birthdays, reaching out to celebrities and trying to get some video shout outs and whatnot. Just trying to do things to brighten up somebody's day. That's really what we do.
And that's wonderful. And my dad drives people with all different types of conditions, disabilities around, and it's he takes great pride in it. And he's actually busy right now, but I know if he were listening, and I know when he does tune in, he'd be greatly appreciative of all the work you do to help those who suffer with who deal with autism. Uh, Big Hoss, I'm sending it back to you, buddy. What you got for us?
Yeah, I tell you, a lot of the stuff I've heard and everything is just awesome. Everything that you do, and two people that have special place in my heart is elderly and special needs people. So, it's just awesome to see anybody who helps out people like that. So, but in just a few minutes here, we're going to take a look at another track from your new album, Bottom of the Bottle. We're going to listen to Come So Far. Can you tell us a little bit about that track?
I can. So that track is probably the most nearest and dearest to my heart out of every track that I've ever done. My wife and I can't sing for nothing, but my wife and I are actually singing the hook. And it's a song about my kids, just how proud of everything I am that they've done so far in their lives. And trying to say without choking up here, but it actually features my kids who are considered nonverbal. My middle one actually talks in the song twice. And that's just hours and hours and hours of working with him and everything. But he actually speaks in the song twice. I ask him who's awesome, and he points to himself and says, awesome. And then he tells me he loves me. And then my youngest one, he's he's like his daddy. He's a little stubborn. So every time I try to get him to say something, he would wait till the mic was off before he would say it. So I basically just tickled him and got him laughing to get on the track. But it is very much a song dedicated to my kids. So if anything ever happens to me, that song is going to live forever, and they can forever cherish it.
everybody that's heard it with kids, whether it's their special needs or not, just a parent who hears it and the love that went into it and how proud every parent should be of their kids, there hasn't been a dry eye that left after hearing that song. It's everybody that's heard it has at least tears in their eyes or running down their cheeks. Like I said, it's very near and dear to my heart.
All right, well, Wrestle Talk family, from his new album, Bottom of the Bottle, here is Come So Far from DJ Money right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Wow, I tell you, that song is everything you said it was and more, man, I tell you.
That was wonderful.
I felt
Well, I gotta ask you one more question before we get into our next segment that of course we want you to stick around with, but I do gotta ask you one more question because this actually came into me. It's a special request. You ready for it?
sure.
All right, this is from Devin James. Devin asks, who wins in a fight? Captain Devin James or Titan?
All day, every day.
Well, you hear that, Devin? Titan all the way, every day. he wanted to. I guess he wanted to hear it himself, but I mean, obviously, he will disagree. Oh man.
That's my boy. It's all good.
Right. Okay, folks. It is now time for what we like to call here at the Wrestle Talk Podcast the Shoot and Shout segment. Now, the shoot and shout segment, it's about as simple as it can be. There's a lot of things in this world that piss us off. So, the three of us are each going to get, we'll just say about a minute, maybe less, to say what's on our mind. It's completely unfiltered, uncensored. Let it loose. Now, normally they have me go first, but you know what, Big Hoss? I don't remember you doing one in the past, so I want you to kick us off with a shoot and shout. Just go with what's on your mind, buddy. The floor is yours.
Well, of course, before we can get into the shoot and shout segment, we gotta go ahead and hit that shoot and shout music.
That's true. Well, I don't need to reintroduce the whole thing, so Hoss, just take it away, my friend.
Actually, I'll tell you what, Jeremy, I'm going to allow you to start.
Okay. All right. This one's gonna hit close. This one's really going to, and this was one I was gonna do last week, technically 2 weeks ago, but we were lost in such amazing interviews, we didn't get time. So here we go. For those that are listening, there is a writer goes by the name of Bruce Mitchell. Bruce Mitchell was a writer for over 30 or so years at Pro Wrestling Torch. Now, as you know, a few weeks ago, Brody Lee from AEW and formerly Luke Harper in WWE tragically passed away at the age of 41. He had a non-COVID-19 related lung issue. And, the whole wrestling world was shaken. We were shook. And it was heartbreaking. I mean, I remember the tribute show. Even my mom and I, we cried, we got emotional during it. But what the hell does Bruce Mitchell do? Oh, he writes this scathing article, and I have it right in front of me. Basically, he's saying AEW and Lee's family kept a very tight lid on what was going on with him and how serious his medical situation actually was. And that leaves the issue of why Brody Lee, his family, and AEW kept such a tight lid on information during his illness. People who have had COVID-19 have gotten lung damage that remained after the virus and left their system and then tested negatively. What Bruce Mitchell was basically saying in his TMZ bullshit article was that AEW and the family of Brody Lee were covering up with their Hershey Kiss tinfoil hats this conspiracy that Brody Lee was dealing with COVID-19, which he wasn't. Excuse the family for wanting a bit of fucking privacy once in a while. But no, we need to have your yellow journalism out there. And let me just make it perfectly clear that Bruce Mitchell no longer writes for Pro Wrestling Torch. Right after that, not only did he get removed, the article get removed. The only reason was because somebody else was able to save it on a website, and I was able to, track it down and research it constantly. But he deleted his Twitter account, and he was eventually fired from the website. And this is a 30-year veteran of writing in professional wrestling. Are you freaking kidding me? You got to have. It's not even. This is not even a what to write about, what not to write about thing. This is just being a decent freaking human being. And he couldn't even be that. He had no idea how much this literally shocked the world that he passed away like this. That Brody Lee, at 41 years old, leaving 2 kids younger than 13 behind. And all he cares about is a conspiracy of something that didn't happen. Get the hell over yourself and your damn ego. It's just disgraceful. Journalism that he did gives journalists like me and so many others a bad name. And it's just deplorable. I don't wish any harm on him. I don't wish any ill will. But I don't have sympathy for him losing his job. And that's my shoot and shout segment.
All right.
Haas, it's all you, buddy.
That might be a little hard to follow.
It's been built, you know, it's each passing week. It's honest. This is not like one of the, this is legit genuine. I cannot stress enough how much this whole thing genuinely pisses me off. That's why I was kind of wanting to save it for later. And as each week got pushed back, I was wondering, should I even say it? But it had to be said. It had to be let out. So there it is. Don't wish him any harm, but I don't have sympathy for how it ended up with his job. All right. There it is. Big Hoss, the floor is yours, my friend. What you got for us?
Actually, Jeremy, before I get into my shoot and shout, one thing I do want to say here, you were talking about Brody Lee and his passing and how it rocked the wrestling community. The indie wrestling community in my area has just recently been rocked, as we have found out today that there was a passing of a indie wrestler by the name of the Atomic Dog, Pork Chop Johnson, who we never actually got to get him on the show, which is a shame because he was a very interesting guy. And, he was one of these guys. The second he got in the ring, he got the crowd into it, and everybody loved him. And he was a great guy back in the locker room as well. So, to everybody who's ever worked with Pork Chop and to his family, our thoughts and prayers go out with you. I know Nightmare Jones has worked with him many a times. And I know Nightmare was a little upset today when he found out as well. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family.
Amen.
But no, as far as shoot and shout goes, just, people today that use absolutely no common sense for anything. They will ask you the stupidest questions, and then when you look at them and answer them, they'll look at you like, how was I supposed to know that? Half the time it's as simple as read the sign, dumbass, and you'll get your answer. But nobody wants to use common sense anymore, and it's just a shame to see how far down people have gone. It's just ridiculous, and it's sad to see. So, the way that people use no common sense, that's my shoot and shout. I can't even really go into depth about it because it's just so damn stupid that, where do you even go with it?
Right. I love that. No, I can resonate with that, man. All right, Titan. That's for last. What you got? No holds barred.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I kind of feel in the Brody Lee thing, and it kind of took my thunder. But no, man. I hate that, and I'm gonna go full blown holy shit. So parental advisory.
It's fine.
All this shit with, and I may not be welcome back. It's not lucky, guys. I'm sorry, but all this political and race-driven bullshit, like we're, just to use an old phrase, can we all just get along? Like we all need to just come together, fuck the race shit, fuck the politics shit, like, help a neighbor out. Like if you see somebody struggling, help them. Don't sit there and judge people, all that bullshit. Some of the nicest people I know look like, they're just the most hardened criminals in the world. Covered in tattoos, the judgmental bullshit, just all of that. Just be nice to your damn neighbors, man. You never know what somebody else is going through. You never know their backstory. You just never know. So I think that anybody who judges somebody before they get to know them is a piece of shit.
Amen to that. That took the words out of my mouth. I think we all kind of have the same theme for what we're going through, and that's, or what what's gotten on our mind, and it's not a fan of stupid bullshit or despicable attitudes.
Exactly. And I'm gonna throw one thing more out there.
Go for it.
I know we're watching. I'm gonna use Devin as an example, man. Devin, he's got a lot of tattoos. He walks around kind of like I do. He thinks he's smiling and giving this big grin, but we both kind of walk around like, fuck you, don't look at me. But we wonder why people don't talk to us. It's because we walk around with that look on our face. We think we're being nice people, but we just come across that way. But he was completely selfless in what he did with the Spectrum Slam and putting it on and dedicating all the time to it and getting everybody booked and everything else. But again, if you looked at him and you didn't know him, you're going to think this guy's an asshole. And he's kind of like me. He's an asshole, but he's our asshole. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
he's a good-hearted dude, and I'm looking forward to the second, little Spectrum Slam thing that he's going to be throwing with the global bastards over. And, again, man, I'm looking forward to coming back up there to Missouri, and maybe I might bring a different kind of club with me when I come the next time.
Well, you'll be happy to know that there is definitely going to be a next time for you on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Doesn't matter, what language was used in that shoot and shout segment. That is literally the most unfiltered, uncensored part of the show. That's the best part about it, I'll be honest with you. So, no, we love having you on here, Titan. Absolutely.
And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The album drops February 1st. Every major digital outlet you can think of, from Apple Music all the way to TikTok and everything. So.
Well, that saves my question. I was just about to ask you where can we find the album, but hell, there it goes. All right, that works for me.
Well, and we appreciate the advance copy of these tracks here that we played tonight. We're grateful to be one of them, to be able to play your tracks. It's just been absolutely awesome, and we thank you for being with us tonight. Once again, thank you for that great track you made especially for us. That's just so awesome. And
you got another one coming as well. I'm still in the works with it, but it's going to be for the shoot and shout segment. And I've got a buddy of mine who he's a hell of a vocalist as far as like the rock rave type stuff. And my buddy Kevin's going to be working with me on getting you guys a shoot and shout actual theme going, with more of like what you guys have with the heavy metal vibe to it, that you guys are more than welcome to use as well.
Oh, much love. Awesome.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So before we get out of here, why don't you go ahead and tell us, how can the Wrestle Talk family, how can they follow you on social media? Where can they find you?
So on Instagram, it's S. Dwayne Smith. My Facebook is I forgot what my Facebook is. S. Dwayne Smith, you should be able to find me. And my YouTube as well, which is S. Dwayne Smith. And on YouTube, I actually have the official music video to Bottom of the Bottle on there. So if you want to see the visuals that go along with it, by all means, search DJ Money, Bottom of the Bottle, and the actual music video will come up. I think right now it's sitting at 3,500 plays. But it's a forewarning, it is not for kids. Do not watch it with your kids. It is not that type of video. Please don't do it. That is your disclaimer.
You have been warned, folks.
I'm definitely going to be looking it up. I'm definitely going to look it up. I'm interested in seeing it.
And leave a comment, leave a like, share it. I mean, it's a suicidal awareness type video. At the end of it's a suicide hotline. Like I said, this whole album is a story of overcoming the demons and the addiction and everything. And it's if I could save one life with what I put in this album, if I could save one life, I did everything that I wanted to do with this album.
That's wonderful to hear.
Wow.
Wow.
And as a matter of fact, we're going to play another track here as we go to break. And Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and introduce that track for us?
All right. Well, Titan, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We look forward to having you on again. And you be well, okay?
You guys as well. Stay safe.
Stay safe as well. Have a wonderful evening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Titan. And heading into our break, we are going to be playing All in My Head featuring DJ Money and Doughman from the newest album, Bottom of the Bottle.
Yo, what up? Night Out. Nightmare Jones. What up, Wrestle Talk fam? Do it for y'all. Check me out. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Even them haters can't hate us no more. To unlock your door, cause we got some more. Every Wednesday we here, keeping it raw. Night Out, Nightmare Jones, and all the best guests. Like a double barrel pointed right at your chest. Wrestle Talk Podcast.com. Smashing and killing it like the night of the prom.
Welcome back, Wrestle Talk family, to hour number 2 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And I think the first hour went pretty well. What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, we finally figured out all of our technical glitches and gizmos, and I know when we have that chance again, we're gonna knock it right out of the park. But honestly, that interview with Titan was wonderful. The music he produces is just phenomenal. I'm loving the show so far. I love it every week. So I mean, what the hell am I talking about? It's been great. You've been doing great too. Absolutely.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. And Wrestle Talk family, don't forget now to check out WrestleTalkPodcast.com, our website. And be sure that, don't forget you can call in. You can always call in and listen to us here, 657-383-1521, where you can be part of the show as well. And don't forget, coming up, we have the Royal Rumble Skype party. Be sure to tune into that Sunday, January 31st, 5 to 9. Special giveaways and special guests. Special guests include B. Will from Esports Bar, Kansas City, one of our show sponsors. The Iceman will be joining us from 6 to 7. Rapper and owner of Ken Cave, also a show sponsor, and Retro Zone at the Oak Park Mall from 7 to 8. Kurt Gannon will be joining from 8 to 9. Also, the host of Wrestle Talk Podcast will be making appearances. And for more information, check out at WrestleTalkPodcast.com or all of our social media outlets. Make sure to join on the road to WrestleMania. Or if you're in FWWC, we call it Universe Mania.
I hope,
January 31st.
you know, I was just thinking, you know, you bring up the Skype party and you talk about all of us appearing. You know, I know Night Owl, Nightmare Jones, and of course I don't have any issue. I want to ask you, you think Drake's going to charge an appearance fee?
That's something he's going to have to work on with the Night Owl, you know. We'll see what we can do about that.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure that one out. I'm telling you one thing. I'll do this for free. This is going to be fun. I look forward to it. You know, usually my friends and I get together for the Royal Rumble every year. We all kind of place wagers based on what spot the Royal Rumble is and see how it goes. But you know what? I mean, because of the pandemic, you know, things got to change. But I'm looking forward to not only still finding a way to be with them for the Royal Rumble, but also to be a part of this big Skype party with the Wrestle Talk podcast and FWWC. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, well, I just got word that Bryan is on hold.
Ooh.
Jeremy, let's go ahead and get our second guest introduced here.
All right. I'm looking forward to this one. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for our second guest of the evening, it is my pleasure and it is Haas's pleasure to conduct this wonderful interview with the lead commentator for Ohio Valley Wrestling, Bryan Kennison. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a big part, more than just an announcer. He is also a comedian and a podcaster and a professional wrestling personality. I know Haas jumped the gun. That's on me. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not wait any longer. Bryan Kennison. Hey, Bryan, how you doing this evening?
Well, how you doing? Thanks for having me on. I don't know if I can live up to that intense music that you got before me coming on here. That's pretty heavy.
It's not often on this show that you get two music intros. So you know that when you get two of them, you really are on top of the mountain.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a short man, so being high up is good for me.
Hey, man, I'm 5'5". I'm right there with you. So it is A-okay with me. So, like I said in the introduction, at least one or two of them, you're a comedian and a podcaster turned professional wrestling personality. So we got a lot of listeners of the Wrestle Talk podcast family tuning in. Can you share a little bit more about that journey you've had?
Yeah, absolutely. So started out stand-up, you know, it's an easy form of art to get into, and I thought it was funny at the time. So I gave my shot at it and actually did it for a few years, and I found some success success doing it, made a lot of good connections. And then I've always been a wrestling fan, so eventually I ended up starting a podcast and actually doing less stand-up, and I focused on the podcast with my good friend and actually my co-commentator, Steven Johnson. So it was kind of an easy jump. We still did a comedy-based podcast. We would do really weird things, anything from Vince McMahon's booking diary, where we'd swear we had his diary, we're reading from it, to, Would You Rather, with the thumbtack match versus Savvy or a tables match against the Dudleys. We always kept still comedy-based. So comedy to wrestling podcast was a pretty easy jump. And then from there, I actually know Al Snow for a little bit. He didn't know me. He killed me in a couple of low-budget horror movies. So I knew him and had contact information at least. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm doing this podcast. You want to do it? He's like, sure, yeah, I'd love to do it, blah, blah, blah. We did the podcast. It was a lot of fun. And then he invited me to come have a meeting with him a couple of days later, based on some conversations we had about ideas of wrestling and what we saw in the lexicon of the big world of wrestling. And he liked what I had to say. So a couple of days after that interview, I went in, sat down with Al. He liked what I had to say. So he was like, hey, let's bring you on board. Let's find something creative for you to do. And truthfully, the first night we were here, Steve and I were seating people, and we got yelled at by a bunch of old people.
Oh my gosh.
We need to do less out here and more in the back. So we transferred over to your backstage production role, and doing a lot of the pre-tapes you saw a couple years ago, all the social media kind of interviews and things like that. That Steve and I had our hands in that, and I guess we didn't screw it up because Al ended up giving us a show after that. And then moved to commentary. So, and it's been a weird journey. Everything that's happened has been kind of serendipitous of the thing before it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think comedian, podcasting, and being a personality in professional wrestling, that runs the gamut on all different types of art, and, you've definitely, I guess, safest to say, you've had your way around of, trying all different avenues on your journey in life so far. And I think that's awesome. What I have to ask you, and it's all at this point, it's almost like that standard question we ask, but I mean, it is a wrestling podcast, so what the hell? What first connected you to professional wrestling?
Oh man, okay. So I've always had, as a kid, you have that general outside knowledge of wrestling, and when I was growing up, it was the beauty of you couldn't turn around a corner without seeing Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So I was always aware of wrestling. I was always, you always liked the classics. I was aware of Macho Man. I was aware of Ultimate Warrior. I was aware of Ric Flair. I was aware of Hogan. And I always liked it. But I remember I watched, I can't remember the WrestleMania number, and I know I'm going to give him to shreds for that, but main event, Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels. I was at that
14.
age, around 10. I was like, 14.
Yeah.
I was around 10, man. And just, I remember at 10 just being blown away by this entire show. I mean, the New Age Outlaws versus Cactus Jack and Mick Foley. I mean, you had The Rock, and if I remember, it was Triple H at that point, or it might have been Shamrock, but it just, and then the main event, Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels. And I was a huge Stone Cold fan already, even though, again, it was peripheral knowledge, but
Right.
that was the climate we were in at the time. You could be a fan with peripheral knowledge. And then watching that, seeing the whole thing culminate, seeing the story being told, it was so incredible that I was like, this is it. This is what I want to watch this. I want to be part of this. It made me, as a 10-year-old, thousands and thousands of miles away, feel so connected to so many other people I'd never met before. And I was like, that's, am I allowed to curse on here?
Go for it.
Yeah, I'll say that's very freaking cool. I just remember being so blown away by it. And then just from that day on, I've been, it's been wrestling. I've loved the sport ever since then.
It's amazing you brought up Cactus Jack, because for those watching live, I got the Cactus Jack shirt. The one in Dead or Alive one on right now.
Actually, I have the signed version of that shirt.
Oh, I would love to get this one signed one day. Oh, man.
Well, we got to book him for a comedy show. That's how I got it.
Okay. Well, that'd be a great way to get it. He's always making those appearances, so you got it set right there.
Well, man, it was actually really cool. So we booked Mick, and I was at Comedy Caravan. We booked Mick Foley for the show. It was one of my independent projects. And he came in, and I remember he texted me and said, "I'm here. Come meet me in the parking lot." I was like, "Okay." So I come out, and I didn't see him, and I looked over, and there's this Girl Scout cookie stand. And he is just talking to these two little girls. They have no idea who he is. They don't understand the magnitude of who they're talking to. But he's just being so sweet to them and humoring them and talking to them. And then I finally woke up and I'm like, "Oh, Mr. Foley, okay, I got these." Like, "Well, girls, tell you what's not selling well?" And it's like some raspberry shortbread thing or something. And he goes, "Okay, I'll buy every single box." Bought every single box. They handed them to me. Said, "Okay, I know there's gonna be a line for this meet and greet. I want to make sure people have snacks or something on the way. So if you can just line the meet and greet with these cookies and make sure everyone's having a good time." And that immediately showed me how cool of a person Mick Foley was. He was being so nice to those girls. He was already thinking about his fans. That really shined a light on the kind of person he was.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Haas, I'm gonna let you take over for a little bit because I know you were telling me before the show you have so much you wanted to ask him. You were getting so excited about this interview, so the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, you've already gone over one of the questions I had because I was going to ask you about your interview with Al Snow when you were a podcaster, but you've already hit that one. But when you actually did go over,
I can tell you a little bit about that. That I did mention that, and it's something I honestly didn't know until about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So Al, if you meet me, I try to be a pretty jovial person. I'm pretty much you see on TV, only mild and tamer and less arrogant. I try to be nice to everybody. So Al, when he met me, and Steve, who kind of comes to the package deal, we've been best friends for years, and we're co-hosts. He thought we were a couple. He thought we were dating because you seen Steve with his shirts all flowery unbuttoned and me all cardigans and nice. And so Al went for the good first month and a half, 2 months of us being here thinking we were a couple. So, which is fine. I mean, I'm flattered. I guess he's a good-looking guy. So, I mean, I guess that means something. I'm kind of good-looking. I guess I don't know. So that kind of podcast story that I didn't say earlier.
yeah, and I've actually met Al once myself. It was actually at a WWE show at an amusement park. I'm actually from Virginia, called King's Dominion, and he was actually on a ride called Outer Limits that I was on, and we actually met him as we got off of the ride. And he was a pretty cool guy. And actually, that same day, we got to meet got to meet Mick Foley, which was pretty neat too. Everybody kept standing around staring at poor Mick, and nobody would go up and say anything to him. And me and my sister were pretty bold, so we just walked up. "Hi, Mr. Foley, nice to meet you." And everybody's staring at us like, "How could they do that?" And he's like, "I'm glad y'all said something. I'm feeling like a leper sitting over here. Everybody's staring at me." So,
well, I can see where that would be off, but actually, I remember seeing, because Al has lived in Louisville for a while. I remember years ago seeing Al at a Qdoba eating a burrito and having a 30-minute introspective thing like, "Do I say something? He's eating Al, leave him alone. But maybe I say something now, just this time to see me docile." And I brought that up to him before. He's like, "I'm glad you wouldn't have." He's like, "If I didn't know you, I wouldn't like to look at you." That's fair. I get that a lot.
he was actually going to ride a roller coaster with my sister, but then unfortunately his security detail took him off. So,
that would have been a good story.
But yeah, when you actually went over to OVW, as you mentioned, you went with your partner in your podcast, Steve Johnson. So what were your first days at OVW like?
Man, it tell you behind the curtain, you don't know what it's like behind the curtain. And it was an education. Like our first day there, we were seating people because there's just so much going on, you don't know what to jump into. And Al's been very gracious to let us do pretty much whatever we wanted. That's been critical. The first day, man, we didn't have any sense of ownership. We were terrified. We were seeing these jacked up dudes just taking off their clothes in front of each other. We're just feeling insecure, and then there's ladies walking around getting dressed, and we're just like, this is not the world we were ready for. We thought we were going to come back and everyone's going to be like a gimmick, and we're going to see clowns and fake chairs and all that kind of stuff. It's so weird just being backstage because it was very eye opening on how everything actually works. And it's kind of fascinating if we were just eating all night, I can't say we would have came back the next week. But after seeing it was going back to the production office and hearing how Al is talking to the crew and what we're trying to sell, what's the story, where do things need to go, how is this going to play into this later, how is this going to build properly. Like just seeing that was like, okay, this is where the real magic happens. It's not the big. This is where so being in the heart of the beast was what really enticing on that first day. Because again, if it was just eating some dude yelling at me that he paid enough to reach wherever he wants, I can't say we would have came back the next week. But it was the magic of being in that production room and being around the brain that is Al Snow. That's a lot of fun. And I will say, we were terrified about coming in to an unknown world, so we didn't know anybody. And a couple of lucky things were, one, Josh Ashcraft was here. And I've known Josh Ashcraft for over 10 years. And we just fell in contact, so I didn't know he was here. So I walked in and saw him. That was a huge surprise. But everyone was very nice to us, very open to us being there as newcomers. There was one person like, you don't deserve to be here, you don't belong here. Everyone was being very open, like, welcome to the team, we're a team. As long as you look good, I'll look good, we'll look good. And that was also a big part of it, was being welcomed in so strongly by people that I can look back now, like Justin Smooth, Tony Gunn, Adam Revolver, people that I hold in such high esteem now. They were so welcoming when we got here. Like that's a huge thing. Getting into new things is scary, but having that sort of support and a team like the right out the gate was huge. Sorry, I know I got rambled there a little bit.
No, that's fine. So, and earlier you mentioned them giving you your own show and everything. And early 2020, you and Steve, you all became the host of OVW's Overdrive program. Can you describe what it was like to go from being from a podcaster to being on a weekly episode program for OVW, especially with the lineage that goes along with OVW? I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, the weight was never lost. Steve and I still look at each other on a regular basis like, you believe what the F we're doing? I mean, come on, man. I mean, yeah, to go from comedian to podcaster to right before Overdrive too, I was actually Callie Young's manager for the campaign, which is a whole other world. And so to go from that, and then I remember we didn't have the way it actually happened. We didn't have anything ready for the Christmas episode of OVW because everyone was going to be out of town. We don't wrestle that week because we let everybody leave their families. And we're like, what are we going to do? And so Steve and I just kind of like, hey, Al, can we do it? So Al let us run with it. He let us completely run with it. Like on that first Christmas special in 2019, you even see my dog. He let us really run with it, and he loved it. And then we did the first ever, I think, the OVW award show the week after that, where Steve and I hosted. That was serendipitous because at the time Gilbert Corsi was your main commentator, and he was just out of town, so he couldn't do it. So Steve and I stepped in, and then going into, and honestly, those were blessings because Overdrive I think started out strong, and I'm very proud of what we've done with that show. I think it's very entertaining, and I would put it on par with a lot of other wrestling programs as far as entertainment value. But that happened because Steve and I got so lucky to have the Christmas special and the award show beforehand. It gave us an opportunity to get comfortable on TV and being able to do small interviews here and there. That really prepped us for Overdrive. And probably my background in comedy didn't hurt things. You know, I was able to do improv. I was able to do writing. I was able to offer a lot to the show before we got there. But it's a dream come true to say you have your own show. And I remember because Steve and I were doing a commentary for Overdrive at the time, and we came backstage, and Alex says, "Guys, you can't do commentary anymore." I'm like, oh God, what did we do? What have we done? Like, oh no, you're fine. You get your own show. And he explained to us what it was. You open with that. You don't open with you can't do commentary anymore. But it's been a blessing, man. I honestly can't tell you how blessed I feel to have a show that I adore, that I have so much fun doing, and then I get filmed with my best friend, and with someone that, like Al, who I respect to high heaven, I hold very high regard to have him there ringside, and then a cameraman and editor, Daniel Brown, who Daniel is incredible. There's nothing that man can't do. So to have this strong team working on the show I love with my best friend, like I can't describe a better feeling than that, other than getting married to my fiance later this year. I love you, baby, if you're listening. But that feeling is incredible. I can't explain it. Again, sorry to ramble, but.
Oh no, that's okay. We enjoy just listening to what everybody has to say, and we enjoy enjoy the stories and everything that we hear on here. And it's just awesome, some of the stuff that we hear. So, Jeremy, I'm sure you got a few more questions here. Why don't I just go ahead and throw it back over to you, buddy?
Much appreciated, my friend. Much appreciated. So, Bryan, I gotta say, we've talked about, and obviously this has been going on for like a year now, so constantly it's been brought up, but, the pandemic has taken its toll on so many industries, business, sports, the work, and one of them is professional wrestling. And so, try to take us through kind of how OVW is being affected by the pandemic, and also personally for you, how you've been affected by the pandemic.
I mean, that's loaded. I mean, yeah, the pandemic hit everybody, and it really hit the wrestling industry hard. We're an industry that thrives on having a live audience and that immediate, action response. That's kind of like a comedy. You tell a joke, someone laughs. And in wrestling, you do a move, and the crowd reacts. You do a promo, someone reacts. So to take out a very pivotal part of the show, because look at the audience is a character of the show themselves, was really difficult. And I think it took a lot of companies aback, and we didn't know exactly what we were going to do. I don't think anybody had a concrete plan. Obviously, we don't have millions and billions of dollars to put a bunch of tiny screens in our arena, so we're not
right.
But as Paul Heyman's always said, you have to weaknesses, you accentuate the strength. So what we did have was a ton of old footage. We had archives for years and years and years. So we decided that we had the opportunity to maybe reintroduce our audience to some other things. So maybe we give them some of the history so they have more context for what they're watching now. It happens right when the pandemic hit, we lost our audiences when we also debuted on national television. So we couldn't just put up an old episode and say, here you go. So that's where actually, that's how it affected my life. It ended up that Steve and I joined the main show at that point. We were working with Gilbert Corsi and Ted McNailer and Shannon the Dude. We would fill on the main show and do those, and we do like clip shows. And I think we still were able to make entertainment. I think it's an old adage that when you have a competition, it breeds the best in everybody. When adversity works the same way. I think we were looking at a hill and we're like, how do we get past this? How are we going to be entertaining? And the answer is that we have to be. So we will be. So we found a way. And I think we found threads. If you go back and watch these clip shows, there's also a thread between the announce team to tell a story the entire time to keep you invested. I think we got really creative, and honestly, I think we put some very good work during that time, especially with Overdrive. We got to do a murder mystery. We went looking for people out in the middle of the woods. We did a murder board, which I'm still very proud of. We did an old 1920s can sort of thing. It forced us to get creative, think outside the box, and really rethink what wrestling entertainment can be. And I think it gave us a better idea of what things we could do moving forward to differentiate ourselves. On a more personal level, the pandemic is horrible. I mean, it's really affected a lot of people's lives. We've lost a lot of people, and it's something that it won't be forgotten anytime soon. But for me, it did my TV career excel. So while it really sucked, I will say that's the one thing that came out of it for me. Is that I got more TV time, and I think in that time, Steve and I grew Al's trust of us. And obviously, put us at the commentary table on live television. He trusts us a little bit. So I think a big part of those months of being stuck together, just doing these clip shows, really helped solidify what he thought of us. And so when Gilbert got promoted at WDRB and went to their full-time anchor, Steve and I stepped in. I think he was confident that he felt ready that we could do it. And I think a big part of that was having to change the way we do things because of the pandemic and being forced into that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad that you're still able to, make the most of a situation, such as a pandemic that, and it's like you said, that you don't have millions of dollars to where you can fill, an entire arena of LED screens, and, the indies have especially taken a hit from the pandemic, but, OVW and pretty much many others have made the most of it, and I'm glad that you guys have and are still up and running. That's the most important thing.
So, and we got lucky because we do have a good relationship with the Kentucky Boxing Wrestling Commission and
So that has been nice. I'm actually really proud of the job our staff is doing about keeping everyone distant and doing seating correctly. It's been very, very important to make sure that people feel comfortable and safe when they come in. I think our staff has excelled in making that happen.
Well, that's awesome. So I wanted to ask you about you recently joined the Pro Wrestling Report with Dave Harrell on Fight TV. Is that correct?
Yep, Dave Hero. Actually, that's another one. Al is stepping in to help with the Pro Wrestling Report a little bit, and the other host, he has some other things he's going to be moving on and doing, and so that spot opened up. And I've known Dave for a year and a half now, I guess, and when the opportunity came up, him and Al approached me with it, and I would have been a fool to say no. I've been a fan of Pro Wrestling Report for years. That's a big deal, and I was really honored that they would even consider me. And I was like, Al, is this a rib? Because if you're ribbing me and I post this on social media, I'm really upset with you. They assured me that that's a thing, and they're bringing back PWR to Fight TV soon, and I'll be right there next to Dave Hero when they do. It's a matter of time. We don't have a relaunch date for it. I know a lot of people are clamoring for it, and I really hope I don't let them down, because I think I'm a very different type of host than they had up to this point.
That's awesome.
But I'm really excited for the challenge, and I hope Shane Helms doesn't hate me when he's a guest on there. I have a feeling the Hurricane might not like me.
Ugh. Well, I mean, then that's a him problem, right?
No, that's a me problem, man. I got a superhero mad at me. That is definitely a me problem.
I guess. Well, before I send over to Haas, I gotta bring up a couple of current events that are going on, in the world of OVW. So recently, there was a purchase of OVW by a group of investors led by Craig Greenberg and Matt Jones. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How recently was that?
That's happened within the last couple of weeks. There were talks and negotiations, all that sort of stuff prior to that. But that's happened in the last couple of weeks that we've seen this new group of investors come in. And they had some great ideas. They had good intentions. Al's not going anywhere. They realize he's the heart of this place. I think they really have some good ideas for what they want to do with OVW that can really make us competitive with some of your bigger organizations. Like we've expanded ourselves to a national, international size at this point. Like we were on Sky in England and Scotland now, and so we're really starting to get bigger. And I think bringing on Matt, bringing on Craig, Craig with his experience with 21C and Matt with his KSR experience, they know how to get things done. They know how to run a business. So I think they're really going to come in and amp up that side. You're going to see a lot more cool partnerships and sponsorships coming out of that. And then you're going to see a lot of us be able to shift our focus to the creative side to bring you an even better product. I'm really proud of what we're putting out right now. I think we are putting out a great product, but now with more focus on it and even more effort behind it, I think we're going to give the audience an even better product. And a big part of that is due to these new investors coming in and creating an opportunity by handling the side of it that before it might have been a little tougher to handle.
Yeah, it's great that they have a bright vision for the future. And we brought up, all three of us have talked about Al Snow a lot during the past 10, 15 or so minutes, and he's still not only in charge of day-to-day operations, but he's also busy with the Al Snow Wrestling Academy. So you got to hand it to the guy for being able to manage so much going on.
Uncle Al's a busy man. He's producing Overdrive and OVW TV. Like you said, he runs ASWA, which is not an easy task. He's going to be producing on BWR. He also has Collar and Elbow still, and I know he's got a couple other projects in the works. And that's not to even talk about his comic book or the book that he released last year. I'm not trying to put the guy over. He's just very busy.
Right, and it's not hard not to put him over, but because it goes without saying everything he's done for the industry, without a shadow of a doubt. Haas, I know you're sitting over there I'm looking over all these titles that are in Ohio Valley Wrestling. Why don't you kick us off and take us through some of them? Because there's a lot going through right now.
Oh yeah, when you talk about the titles. I mean, the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship. Yeah, there's a lot of professional wrestlers that held the different championships over the past decade. You know, Colt Cabana, John Cena, The Miz, just a lot of big names. And the current champions, the Tate twins, Brandon and Britt Tate, they just successfully defended the championship against former champion, the Legacy of Brutality, and most recently against the Heat Seekers at Nightmare Rumble 2020. So there's a lot of big names that have held championships there. I say that seems to be very impressive to me. All the names that have really held them.
Oh, sorry, guys.
No, go ahead. Wait.
Okay.
Oh, no, I was just going to agree with you. Yeah, I mean, that's even scratching the surface of it. I mean, you got a Fist, you got Brian Pillman Jr., Jesse Goddard's their current national heavyweight champion. I mean, our company has been a who's who, honestly. I mean, we just had Rohi and Ace Austin from Impact going here to go for our Russian Division championship. Madison Rain was just our women's champion. She beat me in a women's championship match. That's a whole other conversation. But, I mean, the names that have been connected to OVW have always been great names. That's why OVW, I think, is synonymous with greatness. Like, they always say a good 60-70% of people wrestling today have had some sort of experience with Davis Arena. Have come through the hall, to talk down, something has happened here. And I think that there's a reason for that. We're a mecca. We're a box you got to check off. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, just as you look through all the different championships and different names, it's just so impressive. You know, the OVW Heavyweight Championship, you know, all the different names that have held that, Cody Rhodes, Brian Pillman Jr.,
The Prototype, Matt Morgan. I mean, Bill Dundee. There's a lot, and then what's not overlooked, the OVW Rush champion and the new champion. Brian, you're gonna have to back me up just in case I pronounce his name wrong. I'm just telling you. Isaiah, please tell me I got that right. Isaiah. Oh my God! I knew there was a 50-50 chance, and oh my God, I'm pissed. Oh my God. I was even thinking, I'm like, I got a 50-50 on this one, but nevertheless, Isaiah won the OVW Rush Championship at Nightmare Rumble 2021 in a 7-person scramble match. Whew.
Yep, that match was requested by William Lewis because he's an absolute madman. But actually, I'll give you a little breaking news because we just filmed OVW television. We were live on WDNA. Isaiah and Lutz went one-on-one for the Rush Division title, and Lutz was able to pick up the victory. I won't spoil exactly what happened for you, but there were some shenanigans that ensued. But Lutz has actually picked that title back up from Isaiah.
Oh, snap.
Wow. In the parking lot of Davis Arena right. I gotta go outside and do a podcast. Of course you do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like that too. I'm at work sometimes, and before I was, a host of the show, for years I was a freaking guest on the show, I'd be calling from the parking lot, like just after work, like, yeah, I'm here, Night Owl, what's up, buddy? Just freezing my butt off sometimes, like.
I am doing that exact thing. I should have turned down the car, but I didn't want the engine to mess up the volume. And actually, I think Steve might just be a little jealous.
Yeah, I think there's just a tad bit of jealousy on that one. But you know what? We'll let it slide. Well, you know what? To help you warm up, Haas, as much as I love doing the intros for it, I really do. You got to do it this time because I know Brian and I are in for a treat. So send it off for us, buddy. What do you got?
Well, Jeremy was just talking about 50-50 chances and stuff, so it's perfect time to bring in tonight this week's installment of the world-famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's
scheduled for the best of 2 out of 3 falls. Our contestants tonight are the Maestro, Jeremy Karp, and the voice of OVW, Bryan Kennison, if you are interested in playing for us, Bryan.
Let's do it. I like the challenge.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hit off this game show music, and then we'll go ahead and finish.
Thank the Lord.
For the game show.
I was wondering if you were going to play it. Oh, that never gets old. Oh my gosh. It gives me the chills. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like I just got off a really exciting elevator.
Right? Like, I'm telling you, one of my favorite parts of whenever I host a show, one of my favorite parts is being able to introduce it. But I figure, you know, now that I'm going to be competing against you this week, I guess I'll leave it to someone else to take over.
You did a fine job.
He did. He did an amazing job.
Okay, in a few minutes, gentlemen, I'll be asking you 3 questions about particular professional wrestling topics. When you think you know the answer to the question, shout out your answer. The first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's game show challenge. In honor of tonight's guest, our Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge category is titled OVW Champion. I will give information about 3 famous professional wrestlers who have held OVW Heavyweight Championship. When you think you know who I'm talking about, please shout out your answer. The first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's contest. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1. From May to August 2006, this professional wrestler held the OVW Championship. He then went on to win the ECW World Heavyweight Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the WWE
CM
World
Punk.
Tag Team Championship.
No. Shit. Is that right?
CM Punk is correct.
Oh, was that right?
You were correct.
Oh, sweet. Kind of lucky guess on that one.
Question 1 is the Maestro.
I can have my show. I'll get you on the next one.
All right, let's do this.
All right. Question number 2. In October 2018 to January 2019,
Oh,
this
boy.
professional wrestler held the OVW Heavyweight Championship, known for the Monster Ball match TNA Wrestling.
Abyss.
Abyss is correct.
That was my 3rd guess. I didn't have the first 2 yet, but that was going to be the 3rd one.
Okay, so we are now tied at 1 fall apiece. The one who gets this fall will win the game show challenge.
Oh, I hate cutting
This
it close.
professional wrestler has held the OVW Heavyweight Championship on 3 occasions. He was the manager of Billy and Chuck and 3
Oh, Rico.
Rico Constantino is correct. And I believe I heard Bryan first.
What?
Take that, Maestro.
Oh, come on. What?
Yeah, Rico.
Congratulations.
I said, okay. I'm gonna give it to him, and I'll tell you why. I'm not gonna be like Drake and be an ass about it. I'm gonna tell you why, because I will say I said it first, but you know what? He said the full name, and that definitely I wouldn't have gotten the full name. So I'm definitely, yeah. Props. Good job.
All right.
Hit his
Let's
music.
hit that winner music.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they say they're out, and they say they're out, and they say they're out now.
Oh man, oh man.
I don't think I have the swagger or drip to pull these off, guys. I'm not.
And we appreciate just being the humble victor. There's nothing wrong with that. When Drake's on, then it's all about being the cocky, smug ass.
Oh, you're deep for that. That's it there.
We'll put them on the same show, and shoot, the show would end up going for about 3 hours.
Yeah, we like to ramble. If you haven't picked up on that.
Well, hey, first off, seriously, congratulations on beating me. It's honestly not often I actually do lose, but at the same time, it's actually not often I compete in them. I just love hosting them. So, yeah, congratulations, Bryan.
Thank you. I mean, I had a bit of an advantage, a home field advantage if you will be an OVW champions, but I appreciate your acceptance and your brutal defeat.
No, yeah, I didn't think I'd see the CM Punk one. Okay, there was no chance I was getting the Abyss one. The CM Punk one, I was pretty confident. And Rico, I just couldn't get the full name. I was just like, well, there goes that. So, definitely. But on top of all this, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I only remember the bit because that was when we first started with the company, and we were still doing the podcast, and I was like, you should go ask him to be on the show. Okay. So we went asked him to be on the show, and said, guys, I just finished my match. Why don't you give me a minute? So he walked away, I didn't breathe at me. I look over now, I was laughing at me. I was like, oh, screw you, man. He likes the rip.
Wow. Well, Bryan,
Yeah,
thank you so much for being on the show. This has really been fun. Like, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
But before I let you go, I gotta ask you, where can the fans of the Wrestle Talk podcast follow you and OVW on social media?
Oh, okay. For OVW at OV Wrestling, we're trying to get away from Ohio Valley Wrestling because we're less regional now, so we're OVW Wrestling. But at OV Wrestling, you can find me literally everywhere at Bryan Kennison. I got lucky and was able to snag them for the other Bryan Kennison. He's a construction man down in Texas. I don't like that he steals all the things. But yeah, BRYANKENNISON.
Awesome. Hush, you got anything to add?
All right. And just may want to mention the television tapings and everything for OVW.
Oh yeah, I'll mention all those things, man. Sure. YouTube, making sure you're subscribed to OVW TV and OVW Overdrive. We put new episodes there every single week. If you're in the local area, we do TV tapings every single Tuesday at Davis Arena, 4400 Shepherdsville Road. Go to ovwrestling.com for all the details on that. And then February 6th, we have a big pay-per-view coming up. Tough Love is the first ever OVW Tough Love. I know some of the matches that I can't spill the beans on them quite yet, but it is going to be an incredible show, and people can get tickets for that at ovwrestling.com as well.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time here with us. Appreciate you making time for us. It's always nice to talk to everybody and hear the stories and everything, and we just look forward to having you on again some other time.
And be safe.
Yeah, sure,
be healthy, stay safe, and have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You as well, fellas. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Our pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
See ya.
See ya. Man, I'm standing by it, Hoss. I said Rico first, but I'll accept the defeat. That's just damn. That hurts me. Not on a personal level, but just damn, I missed it by that much. Ah.
All right, now don't make us start calling you Drake Lee.
No, because I'm not calling a conspiracy here. Well, nevertheless, let's be real. Tonight has been an outstanding show. I've loved it from start to finish, and you have been an awesome co-host filling in. I know we kind of got you in, kind of gave you the skimmy on things, but you've done amazing, and I thank you so much for being on, my friend.
Well, and thank you for having me. It's a joy to be on episode 329. And, of course, we can't forget to thank all of our sponsors. You want to run through those for us?
Oh, I will actually let you do the honors on this one. Because you started the show, I want you to be the one to close it. You did an amazing job filling in while we were figuring out them technical stuff.
Oh, boy, throw me on the spot.
You got this.
But no, our sponsor is I-70 Sports Media. Then we have KC, not Sports Bar. Help me out, Jeremy.
All right, I got you. All right. here we go. We're going to thank all the great sponsors. I wanted to give him the shot. It's okay. He is still my dear friend, and he's kick-ass awesome. All right. Everything Combat with Jay Hollywood, Jeffrey Wilson, and UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich. Royal Miles Transportation, the Esports Bar in Kansas City. Kincaid, the Painter's Dream Productions, and of course my own. Well, not my own. I have some amazing team members at Interstate 70 Sports Media. Shit, I got my own name wrong. Interstate 70 Sports Media. Been a long show, folks.
All right. Don't forget to check us out now on WrestleTalkPodcast.com. And we will be back next week for episode 330. Then I believe that'll be the Nightmare Jones and Drake Lee hosting, if I'm correct.
I believe so, and one way or another, I know it ain't gonna be me. I need a week off. I think I've been on for like 7 straight weeks now.
All right. Till then, we will be seeing you. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out.
Peace and love, everybody. Be well. Stay safe.
Bottle by Titan.